Question 568. What is the dumbest thing you believed as a kid?
How many people here used to like believe in God? You know.
I was tempted to exclude God from this question.
Yeah, like it's not necessarily a dumb belief. In some cases, it's dumb to those who have believed, but it's not always a dumb belief.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
For me, it'd be things like the typical conspiracies, like your typical childhood ones, your UFOs, your Loch Ness monster, all those things. Oh, Atlantis, you know. I loved those stories. I wanted them to be true. They didn't last anywhere near as long as the God one, though. That's for sure.
Did you have a Santa?
Me? No, I never had a Santa.
Never had a Santa. You go down department store at Christmas, you can get yourself one.
Yeah, I heard a lot about those ones, and I didn't have any interest in those types of Santas. I wanted the sort of Santa that would give me a really expensive fucking gift every year, you know, so I could have a toy to play with, like every other kid.
Oh, I keep going back to the JWs I grew up around, and it's just so depressing when they get to their birthdays and Christmas.
Yeah, no, it's not a lot of fun. It really is not a lot of fun.
Go on, Jeff.
Probably a similar answer to Nacho on some of that stuff. Yeah, I definitely believed in a lot of those sort of things, like Loch Ness monster, that sort of thing. Yeah, I definitely believed them when I was a kid. But I'm trying to think. What other dumb things did I believe as a kid? I don't know. The Tories were a good government. I don't know. No, I don't. I was never that fucking dumb.
I'm going to say, you grew up with Thatcher.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to say, I was tempted to answer this question with that the government isn't self-serving, regardless of ilk.
Yeah, I was never that dumb.
Doc says, my daddy loves me. Joke, I always knew he didn't love me. Robert says, I believe that my goldfish could fly, and it could, it just sucked at landing. Flying's easy. Seraphim, believing that swallowing water
off of the ground and piss.
Yes. Believing that swallowing watermelon seeds would cause watermelons to grow in your stomach. Badger.
I got a couple.
Go on.
The funny one is that I used to, when I first originally watched Star Wars,
Always comes back to Star Wars.
I used to think that you could not stab with a lightsaber.
Why?
And I will tell you why, Bob. They never, at any point in the original trilogy, to my knowledge, thrust with their lightsabers. They always swing.
There's a reason for that.
Yes, because it's to break the props.
No, it was not just break the props, it's just effects.
Yeah. But they never do it in the original trilogy. So I was there watching it going, oh, so maybe they just don't work for that.
So when you saw episode 1, that really screwed you?
No, I kind of got over it before then. But
so episode
but
1 where he thrust it through the door and used it to open?
Yeah, that kind of brought the point home to me with episode 1. But the non-pithy one is that I used to think that people actually meant what they said.
Oh! That's a dangerous one to hold.
Mm.
Yeah, I used to think that if somebody said something to me, they were actually honest. And they'd say
the problem is I think your mistake there is thinking that honesty is a relevant factor in that.
Yeah, I used to think that if somebody said, "Oh yeah, I'll meet you there at this time," they would actually do it, or something like that. And after a lot of sort of disappointing encounters as a child, I became jaded to that fact.
I will counter that with
didn't mean what they said.
I'll counter that with that people want you to be honest because they don't.
Well, I don't mean in terms of things where being honest is possibly
No.
detrimental.
No. No. I'm going to explain my point. It's like the conversation with Sam this morning. Yeah? I could have answered him honestly. You didn't read any of it, did you?
No.
He went nuts. Anyway, the point being...
That's an understatement.
Right. I could have answered him honestly about how I am feeling. And about why the reason that I cannot deal with this sort of conversation because of my drugs and how my head goes. Okay? He's not interested. He doesn't care. He can't appreciate it. You can't be honest. He doesn't want an honest answer. He just wants to be... He wants the answer he wants.
It's just sometimes people are in bad moods and they need to scream and they just want to hear what they want to hear so they can feel better.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. Well, it is part of what I'm talking about, but it's not the main thrust of my point.
No, you're talking about just the normal stuff that people aren't honest about. They don't think about.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but yes. I used to think that... I used to take things far more literally than I now do. I still struggle not to, so I just tend to assume that I try to hear something like it's more of a struggle to me to hear someone say something like "I will be there at this time" and assume that that's what they mean. I struggle to understand sometimes that when they say that they mean.
The point is, again, that's one of those things that mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
If I agree outright to be somewhere at a set time, if I agree with you that I will be somewhere at 5 o'clock tomorrow, right? I will be there at 4 o'clock tomorrow, waiting for you.
Geez, that's a bit early though.
There's no point in waiting on me because I'll not be there to 1 minute to 5.
You're going to get there at 5?
Like 10 to
But that's
quarter
still
to,
on time,
but
though, at least.
Yeah. My point being is, when I hear something, when I say I'm going to be somewhere, I stress about it so much
yeah,
that I have to get there
though.
early.
Also, if something goes wrong and I don't make it at the time I said, or I forget, or something like that, I feel like the worst person in the universe.
Yes. Very much so. Right. Math Pig.
What the fuck was the question? We've been rambling that man. Santa Claus. Take your pick.
What's the dumbest thing you believed as a kid?
Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, things like that. We were in the UK. We didn't believe in young Earth creationism. We were grand.
You did. You
felt like a slight to me, honey.
Pardon?
It kind of felt like a
You
slight
don't
to
believe
me
in
as
young Earth.
an American.
It's a dig at the country, not at you.
It's not an exclusively an American problem. It's just particularly bad in America.
Yes, and I completely blame their education system. Sammy, I've lost this one. Sammy says that I was evil for my sexuality. Robert says, I also believed my hamster lived for 8 years, but later found out my mother replaced it when I died.
Hang on, Sammy died?
Yeah.
They replaced the hamster?
Yes.
Got a hand.
Amanda.
Got a hand.
Go on.
Just to say, I've got to hand it to getting a hamster that looks identical every single time for that. Because bear in mind that, like, what do they last 2 years at the most?
Yeah, but it's not. Kids don't notice. I mean, you want to know the best story about my kid? Okay, the best story about my kid. My kid had a duvet. Right, the duvet was 2 foot by 3 foot. Tiny duvet. She had it from when she was very little. She had it when I inherited her. It was tiny. Okay? And we went. She was getting bigger, and we went, and we tried to replace this duvet over and over again. And we couldn't. She wanted this duvet. Right? In the end, what we did is we bought her a duvet cover. A tweenies duvet cover. Right, we showed her the duvet cover. She thought it was fantastic. We're going to put this on the duvet. Okay? So, the next day when she was at school, we got a new duvet, put the duvet cover on the new duvet, and put it on her bed. It took her weeks to twig it wasn't the same duvet. Right, she was convinced. The duvet was about 10 times bigger. But she didn't twig.
Probably
Right.
just preferred the duvet.
No, she
Whenever-
was very attached to the previous one. We've still got it somewhere.
Whenever we were younger, my brother got very attached to like a blankie, your security blanket. Yes. And if I remember rightly, I think mine was red and black and his was yellow and white. And he got really, really attached to it. And my ma could not get it off. And so every time it would go to the wash to get washed, she would cut a chunk of it off. Until it got smaller and smaller. And then it was, oh no, just the machine's destroying it. It's that old. It's falling apart. It's getting old. Oh, look at that. Oh no, it's gone. It's gone now.
That's kind of fucked up.
My mom was a bitch. I had a spiffy jumper and she hated it because the spiffy jumper back in the day was like 90s fucking disco and all. It went to the wash and she just put it in the bin. No, I don't like what that represents. That's going in the bin.
That's both kind of funny, but I'm also really sad now.
Apparently most hamsters are brown.
And I also I still have a favourite blanket, and fuck all of you.
Are you sure it's the same one it always was?
Yeah, because I
And it wasn't
bought it. It's not a childhood one. I got it a couple of years ago.
Aha. So you could replace it tomorrow.
No, because they don't sell them anymore.
But assuming they did.
No.
You're such a liar. You would just get another one.
If I had to, yes, but I'd rather not.
Manda.
So, my brother told me this story. He had this alarm clock that had, it was a tape deck thing too, and the big button that opened the tape deck thing. He told me if I pushed that, it would blow up the world. I was like 4 years old, I think, and I believed him for a year. Like, I was scared to death, but I really, really, really wanted to push that button. For like a whole year, I honestly thought that.
Now the question
if I
is
pushed the button, yeah.
did you work it out beforehand or did you go and press it?
I think I went and pressed. I think I was like, nah, this can't. Like after a year or so, I was like, nah, this can't be real. But maybe I'll just try it. And I pressed it. Nothing happened. So.
I'll be right back. I'm getting my favourite blanket.
If you enjoyed that, please hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. If you think you've got a better answer or just want to tell us how wrong we are, leave a comment down below. Subscribe down here for new questions every day and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on our live shows. If you click over here, you'll see our latest upload. Over here, for what YouTube thinks you'll love the most. And finally, for a complete playlist of all our currently released questions, click here.